Hi, I'm Kevin Brady. I'm the U.S. Congressman for the 8th District of Texas. And while I live here in Montgomery County, commute to work each week, I am now the third Texan in history to chair the House Ways and Means Committee. So it's a great honor to represent this area. We want, for our communities, we want the communities to be safe and secure. And that starts with national security, especially fighting an offensive way against terrorism around the world with our allies. Border security matters as well. Make sure that we've closed the back door of illegal immigration so we can keep open the front door of legal immigration, so we can welcome those who want to be part of our country, who want to do better for their families. And all we ask is that they come through the front door, which, by the way, I think is broken as well. So I lead the House in tax reform, which is the greatest challenge of any generation of lawmakers, because the tax code's so complex, it's so costly, it's just unfair. And it's one of the big reasons why it's hard for young people to find full-time, good-paying jobs after they get out of school. One of the reasons we continue to see our U.S. companies moving their plants and the research and their headquarters overseas. So I lead the effort. We are proposing a tax code that's built for growth, designed to grow jobs and grow wages and grow the U.S. economy. And while we're doing that, leapfrog America to the top 3. We're 31st in the world in competitiveness. And so I want to leapfrog us to the top 3 and keep us there. So we're proposing 3 big reforms: the lowest tax rates on local businesses, and a redesign so our companies can compete and win anywhere in the world, including here at home. Secondly, we're proposing for families a code so fair and simple, 9 out of 10 Americans, 9 out of 10 Texans will be able to file using a simple postcard style system. Then finally, since we're proposing such a fair and simple tax code, we're proposing a fair and simpler tax collector. So we propose to bust up the IRS and redesign it really into a 21st century agency focused on you and me as taxpayers. Tax reform only occurs once every 30 years or so. President Reagan was the last to achieve it. And in the meantime, since he's done that, other countries have passed us by, which makes it harder for our companies to stay in the United States. That's why we see so many of them leaving Texas and in other states. Secondly, our code's it's tripled in size since President Reagan reformed it. So it's now 70,000 pages. As we like to say, it's 10 times the size of the Bible with none of the good news. That's sort of how we describe the tax code. And so it's time, in the American public, it's certainly my constituents, just tell me, look, just make it simpler, make it fair. Do away with all the special provisions for some, all those lobbyist loopholes and all, and just lower the rates for everybody. Let us keep more of our money, and let us decide how we want to use it, which is exactly what I hope to do. Right now, the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare as it's known, is just collapsing on itself. Right now, Texas has lost 9 healthcare insurers. They've just fled the state under Obamacare, and no state's lost more than we have. The rates are doubling and tripling, so much so people can't even use the healthcare Obamacare that they have. And frankly, it's sort of topped out. Fewer and fewer people can afford to even use it because they can't see their local doctors or hospitals. So what we're proposing in the House Republicans, and I write and lead about half the bill to repeal and replace Obamacare. What we're saying is this: let's focus on making healthcare more affordable. Let's return control out of Washington. Let's return it to the states and the communities so you can design healthcare that you need, not what Washington needs. We also want to restore the free market so that families have more choices in healthcare plans, because right now, if you don't get healthcare at work, if you don't get it in the government program like Medicare or the VA, you're stuck with very expensive plans, very few choices. I think we can do better. And with Obamacare collapsing, we have to do better. So I'm proud to help lead that effort in Washington. The bill is now over in the Senate. So we're hopeful they'll continue to make improvements now that it's passed the House, and hope to be able to finish this summer. The part of the bill that I wrote, we repeal all the taxes, $1 trillion of taxes that landed on everyone who's got health care, on small businesses like yours, on families. We repeal them, they go away. We repeal the penalties, those mandates that said you have to buy government-approved health care or pay a stiff tax. That goes away as well. and the subsidies that are so expensive that the government can never, frankly, afford for the long term is gone as well, replaced with a much more simpler personal credit that you can use to buy a plan that's right for you. I sort of describe it as a healthcare backpack, where you can take healthcare with you from job to job, state to state, home, to start a family or a small business, or even into retirement, and to have a plan that you choose that's right for you, including access to your medical records, and perhaps if you want a health savings account that you control to help with out-of-pocket costs, because those are expensive as well. And even those who are very excited about Obamacare have discovered that sort of this Washington drives everything, very expensive plans, tons of mandates, and you end up with healthcare people can't use, so they just don't do it. In fact, in Texas, for as many people who have Obamacare, you have almost twice that many who have found a way to get out of Obamacare. So as a result, insurers have just left it, which is why we've got to bring them back in and give family choices, give small businesses choices that they just don't have today. In my district, because I didn't move to Washington, I live here. So my neighbors see me at the dry cleaners or at the YMCA where I work out and around the community. And what they tell me is, look, they want security, both in their communities and for their country. They want more job opportunities and higher paying jobs, not just for themselves, but for their children and grandchildren as well. They want a government that lives within its means. You know what I mean? That doesn't keep piling debt on the next generation to pay off. You know, and they want healthcare choices that are affordable. And so, because of the Ways and Means chairmanship, I'm right in the middle of tax reform and healthcare and jobs, and it's very exciting. It is exciting in Washington right now. One, because you have a unified Republican government, the House, the Senate, and the White House. That hasn't happened in a long, long time. Secondly, you have a new president who is an unconventional president, to say the least. So whether you agree with him or not, it's clear he's shaking up sort of that old Washington, and he's really focused on delivering what he talked about in the campaign, which is unusual, I think, as well. And so for me, I've been working with President Trump on the boldest tax reform since President Reagan did it, on health care that's really affordable and tailored to you, not Washington. I work with them on trade, because Texas is, the number one exporting country or a state in the country. So no one sells their ships more around the world than Texas. We're just really good at this. And so I want to do more of it. Then infrastructure, we'll work with the president on how we fund roads and bridges and ports and railroads, all the things that keep Texas and the rest of the country going. So fortunately, I'm just in the middle of a lot of big challenges. It's exciting. Look, it's hard to sleep at night, not because I'm worried, but because I'm excited about each day. And what I've discovered with the president in my working is that he's very encouraging. He asks lots of good questions. He listens. And at the end of the day, each time we leave the White House, his normal parting words to me is, we can do this, Kevin. Let's go bold. We can get this done for the country. And again, whether you agree completely with him or not, well, I just like that type of encouraging, positive approach. But I think if we will focus on fixing the tax code and simplifying it, getting people health care who don't have affordable health care today, if we can get the government to live within its means, boy, we will have accomplished a lot.